All right, so as you guys may know, there's not a whole lot left keeping me from getting the Z running. So for the time being, I've basically divided it into 4 categories to help me finish off everything that needs to be done. Those categories are going to be first the water cooling system, the air cooling system, the fuel system, and lastly, wiring. I would have categorized a 5th thing, which would have been the oil system, but I've already taken care of that, so for the time being, I'm going to start trying to knock out anything and everything I can to get those other 4 things finished. The first thing I want to tackle is basically this piece on the water pump here. I figured out that the first turbo coolant hose that comes off of the turbo actually routes down here towards this little pipe. So I just need to connect it from the first turbo to right here. And since it's at such an odd angle, I moved the camera, but it is right there, center of the screen. Now I could buy the OEM part for that, but it'd probably be really expensive. So I'm just going to use some hose that I already have laying around, literally laying. I knew I only needed about 7 inches, so what I did was I held this right here and used my trusty ruler to cut it off right at exactly 7. But now I can go ahead and try and put this piece in. And just to be safe, I cut another piece that was about 1 inch longer on both ends, just to get a little bit better engagement on both of the pipes. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one. So I put the longer piece on there, and it looks like that is actually the perfect length, around 9 inches. You can see it butts up right against the water pump there. It's kind of blurry because it's out of focus. You get the idea. And then over here, that's where it meets up, is on the little turbo pipe that goes up to the turbo right there. But it fits just perfectly, doesn't interfere with anything, all the way down to the water pump. So about 9 inches is the correct size for that one there. Both ends of that are now all tightened up. All right, now my next problem is getting the hose in the back to do the same thing. So that hose there that's hanging underneath the car is actually attached to the bottom of the turbo to this water pipe here that comes off the second turbo, and I need to route that back up to the front somewhere. Now this is the little pipe that comes off up to the throttle body on the 2JZ GE bypass pipe, which you can get a much better view of both of those from the bottom. So right here is the coolant tube that comes off of the turbo. And as you can see, I've already got this stuck to it. Now right here is the GE bypass pipe. So on the GTE car, they have a specific nipple that comes off, and then this routes over to it and it plugs in. Now, since this is from the GE, it doesn't have that, but it does have that for the throttle body. And since the throttle body is on the driver's side, this is useless. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this hose here and route it up over onto that and tighten it down there, so any coolant that comes out of the turbo gets routed right back into the bypass pipe and sent forward to the water pump. All right, it's kind of dark now, but you can see right here that the hose is connected to the turbo pipe, and then right up there it's also clamped down to the bypass pipe itself, so that is sorted. And since I finished up with the 2 turbo hoses, also change of a tire, very random, it's just something I do. Anyways, I've got the core support up on the car, basically just to check out to see what kind of clearances I need to make for all the other water hoses. And the radiator that came with the 350Z is actually sitting in the core support currently, so that's even better because I believe I'm going to try and reuse that one. If you know anything about the Supra, or at least the 2J motor itself, you know that the water outlet is right there at the tip of my finger. So that's where the water comes out from the water pump itself, or basically gets fed back into. I'm not really sure what the direction is for the radiator itself, but that doesn't really matter. So you've got a pipe going from here to here, and then one from all the way over here on the driver's side, clear back to that pipe that's on the bottom of the water pump. So my current solution for this is actually a pipe that I've already got. It's kind of bent in a way, I'll just have to cut it so it better fits this and this. But that one there is going to be a little bit more complicated because it's got to come down towards me as I'm sitting right now, route over that way, and then connect to this pipe right here. So anyways, this is the tube that I have. You can see that it would point directly down towards that, and also it kind of comes up here. It would just need to be trimmed on one end or the other to make it fit perfect. And then this is the fitting that I have that I got with the Chase Bay's 2JZ water neck. Unfortunately, I ordered the wrong size. This is a 1.5 inch or a 38 millimeter. It's too big to go inside of there, and you can see that it's actually just a tad wider than the radiator pipe itself. So I'm going to step this down to a 35 instead of a 38 mil, but that's going to be on the way. So once that gets here, that'll be solved. And I do finally have a solution for these two pipes here and then this fitting here. So obviously it's going to be more AN fittings because that's basically what all these threads are attached to this thing. This right now is just a little 6 AN fitting currently on there. I'm going to have like a 120-degree angle come up, and then it'll split into a Y. And then I'm going to have two hoses, two brand new hoses most likely, go from the two pipes here and here, and then rotate them around and connect them to that little Y piece, because trying to get something to work with the current hoses is just, I can't get anything to fit really, so I'm just gonna have to modify what's here. But with that said, anyways, that's gonna be solved soon, that's gonna be solved soon, just like that. So then essentially my only two concerns at this point are the bottom radiator hose, which I'm either gonna have to search through like an entire O'Reilly's catalog, or just look up online, see if I can find something that's the right length, take some measurements, all that good stuff. And then lastly, this back heater hose, I do not have a solution for yet. So I've got the little heater piece coming out of the back of the engine cylinder head, and then obviously the other half of the heater hose that comes to this side of the firewall, have nothing sorted for it. I might try this same pipe again, see if this one will work, and do like the double angle thing and fit on both. As you can see, it's a similar S shape, like it has that curve and then it attaches right there at the bottom. My only concern would be, is it wide enough to fit right in there? But I think I'll go ahead and try to find that part number. I can buy another one. If it works, it works. If not, obviously, I'll just get something else, make that work instead. But yeah, I mean, that's the current situation with the coolant setup. I actually did just order some fuel line, a couple of fittings for this to try and get the fuel pressure regulator and the fuel pressure damper to stick to the rail. I've got a fuel filter on the way as well, because I realized that this car does not really have a fuel filter anywhere in the setup, which it's probably going to end up over here somewhere, or maybe even farther down here underneath the car. I'll just have to make one of these fuel lines go off to the side a little bit so I can fit the little fuel filter to the side. Because to be honest, I don't know if I would want a fuel filter up here right next to my exhaust downpipe and my turbos, because that would probably make it really hot, and then that would be a potential fire. A thing I would like to avoid, obviously. I don't want my car catching on fire after spending all this time and money. But anyways, here's what you can look forward to by the time the next video comes out. So obviously I'm going to try to have those water coolant lines sorted on the little pipe that I got from Chase Bays, and then I'll at least have the parts to start doing the fuel system so I can start tackling some of that. Can't guarantee if that'll get done because, you know, with this car, there's literally been so many issues that pop up that I'm not expecting at any given time. They just happen, and then I have to modify like 3 other things to make it work. Story of my life, story of this car. But anyways, I think that's really all I got to go over for the content as of today. But I did want to tell you guys that I got the Driveshaft in, so I'm going to throw that footage in right here. What's up, everyone? As you can see, I have the 350Z behind me, and right next to it is the Driveshaft, so I'm going to be attempting to put that in the car today. And then if I get around to it, I'd like to start putting the front end back together. The reason for that is because eventually here I'm going to have to put an intercooler in the car to cool the turbos and run the piping for all that. The only way to know where all of that's going to fit is if I have the thing together. So obviously, as of right now, I'll even show you, this issue still has not been resolved. So this is going to be really close to the water or coolant overflow, and this is obviously really close to right here. So even then, I don't really know how I'm going to route the piping, but even with the core support in, it's going to make it even more difficult. So basically, I want to get that together soon and then just kind of see what kind of room I'll have for all of that. Obviously the intercooler is going to sit right about here, whether that's down or up or forward or back, I don't know yet. I'll have to see. But yeah, I'm gonna start putting things together and we'll see exactly where we'll get to. But first things first, Driveshaft. Oh man, I just realized it'd probably be a good idea to put the shifter in because I can't really get to the bolt underneath there with the drive shaft covering it. So I'm going to do that now, get the shifter in from the top and then that bolt in on the bottom. I'm not going to lie, that slid in super easy on that end. Forgot how close the drive shaft sits to the actual shifter, but it slid in the front now. I just got to bolt that on right there. I remember saying this when I was taking it off because I never filmed it. There's a little gap right there on the back of the drive shaft. There's a little thing that raises up that slides into the actual piece of the differential here. So that has to go inside of this. But what I'm gonna do is just kind of line everything up, pull it together with my fingers, and then let the bolts do the rest when I put those in. I hate airplanes. Alright, you guys know me, I like to torque literally anything and everything if possible, so I got the droopy attachment on here, 17 millimeter, obviously for the drive shaft bolts, 54 foot-pounds of torque, so I'm gonna go under there and do that. You're not gonna watch me do that because I can't hold the phone and do that at the same time, but I'm gonna do it. Alright, anyways, that concludes everything I wanted to basically put in this video right here. So obviously, I got a few of the coolant hoses done today, drive shaft is already in. Basically just looking forward to the future of getting what I have left done as far as the major components of getting the engine running, but otherwise I don't really have anything else, so that'll be it for this video. Thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you who continues to watch my videos. Peace out. I will see you awesome people in the next video.